In 2025, we were bombarded with a nonstop litany of software engineers are going to get replaced by AI. But probably by the end of 2025, we kind of realized that that wasn't going to happen because it turns out that the quality of the results that you get from an AI are directly dependent on the person driving it. So if you have a senior software engineer driving an AI, then you will get senior software engineer results. And if you have somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing, then you will have results that are just kind of like all over the place and crazy. But here, I've created a list of jobs that AI can replace. It may not replace them. Like there may be like a sincere effort in society to not replace these jobs. However, these are all going to be jobs that actually AI would be really good at. The first one is going to be bureaucrats. Now, for the longest time, the vast majority of tasks by bureaucrats, and this is like social workers, people who work at the DMV or the county building and stuff like that, for the longest time, most of these people have been able to be replaced by kiosks. That's not really happened. Again, part of the sort of unspoken agreement between the government and society is that the government will hire people who can't really be employed anywhere else, which is why the United States government is, of course, the largest employer probably in the world, certainly in the country. Hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people work for the government directly as bureaucrats, and other amounts of people obviously work through sort of military, and a lot of people also work through for contractors and various different descriptions: healthcare contractors, military contractors. It's not just military. So the government kind of like has this sort of quasi pseudo welfare system, but AI would be really good at bureaucrat jobs, processing paperwork. OCR, object character recognition, is at the level now where people could just bring their documents, scan them in, uh, get their driver's license updated. So most of those jobs actually could be just eliminated, and we may actually end up eliminating them. It's hard to tell what will happen. It might not happen simply through force of will by the government saying like, well, if we do this, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. But AI is far and away superior to pretty much any social worker, is definitely able to reason at the level that a social worker would have to reason. This is not to disparage social workers. Actually, some of them are quite good people. This is just to make the point that their job is quite perfunctory, and an AI could definitely achieve this. An AI and a kiosk could streamline this particular thing and eliminate huge amounts of government waste. Right now, it could start today. So we could kind of look for in the near future sort of bureaucratic jobs being replaced by AIs and automation. So this one is not going to be popular among some people, and is going to be popular among other people. So, people are suffer a lot of cognitive dissonance when it comes to teachers and education, which is they recognize that American education, and also to a certain degree even world education, has been an utter failure. And also, like, there are different reasons for it. One is that it isn't very good. It doesn't produce very good people, or very intelligent people. That most education is actually self-education. It's like, if someone is going to be a math whiz, it kind of doesn't matter what school they go to when it comes to like elementary school, grammar school, things like that, middle school. It might matter what university you go to, but probably not to the degree people think. But one of the key issues that people kind of will have this cognitive dissonance over is they'll be like, oh, teachers, they're wonderful, they're heroes, they're so hardworking, they're so wonderful. And then the next thing they'll be like, education sucks, hardly anybody can read. Each generation seems to be becoming like less and less intelligent. And part of the reason is that school, as it is, was kind of designed for the Industrial Revolution. It was designed to produce sort of like industrial workers. And since we've kind of moved from the Industrial Revolution to kind of like the digital revolution, and now we're kind of in this, I guess you could quasi say like AI revolution, school is actually like quite bad at producing the type of knowledge workers that we require. And so, and because we in the 18th and 19th century, we really thought about education in much more sort of like honest and practical terms, and then designed it to produce these cogs in the social wheel. It became unfashionable to talk about this honestly, and so we never actually went back and fixed the problems. We never said like, "Hey, we designed this thing to produce people to work on assembly lines and in offices, and now we need more people to work in the data centers and as software engineers." and we never really intentionally redesigned it, and that's kind of been a problem. So AI is incredibly good at being an educational resource. Currently, it does require that you steer the AI to teach yourself things. But I mean, I've been absolutely blown away at the capabilities of even like just basic models, chat models, Chat GPT, Claude. You think that Claude's really good for coding, but you can really dive deep into quite nuanced technical topics and get really clear explanations and graphs, and you can get Nano Banana to draw you like pictures that represent sort of aspects. You can get Nano Banana to draw you pictures that explain concepts. So it still kind of requires a little bit more of a person driving it right now. So self education again, always all education is self education. But yeah, AIs could completely replace teachers. I mean, you could really either it becomes sort of like everyone is sort of at school at home, on their computer chatting with an AI that is sort of more geared toward a pedagogical model. In fact, I'd like to see like more models, kind of like the Khan Academy AI version of a model. I'm a huge fan of Khan Academy. Like I dropped out of school in like the sixth grade, so at some point, probably about maybe like 10 or 15 years ago, it was a long time ago. I don't remember when exactly, but I decided that I wanted to actually like go through. Uh, all the education that I missed after the sixth grade, and so I used Khan Academy. I thought it was probably one of the greatest ideas in the history of the world, and I wish that it had a lot more success. But yeah, AI could definitely replace teachers and become the central way in which people learn. I think that there might need to be a little bit of work or a little bit of training in there, but I definitely think this could happen. One way in which it shines, very interesting that I found out, Claude speaks French and Spanish, and since obviously like I spend a lot of time in France, so I speak French, and I've also been trying to teach myself Spanish. And so very often I'll just have my conversations with Claude about whatever it is I'm doing. I'll have them in Spanish, and I mean, it seems pretty good to me. I mean, like, his Spanish, and he can kind of understand my broken Spanish, and often get involved in some interesting conversations. So that's definitely a way in which AIs could replace somebody very soon. So the next thing that is kind of we've kind of had like the year of agents, or the agentic AI kind of year was 2025, and people learned a lot about that. But what's kind of like bubbled up from that is this thing called like this AI chief of staff, and that's actually one of the projects that I'm currently working on. And this idea of a lot of the sort of services that would be provided by a secretary or an executive assistant, or a chief of staff, can actually be performed by an AI, and it reasons at a level that is definitely sufficient to schedule things and remind you of things. So really, and that kind of system is a little bit more about the tools that it uses and how it's integrated into other systems, but its reasoning level is definitely superior. So I mean, we could definitely see secretaries be like pretty much replaced in the workforce by AI assistants. That is definitely coming very soon. So one of the things that it's not necessarily that AI is going to replace them, but AI is going to fundamentally change advertising agencies. And very often advertising agencies are what I call like crypto advertisers. And I don't mean that they advertise cryptocurrency. I mean that they're sort of concealed advertisers. So you might think that Meta, which used to be Facebook, you might think that that is a social media company. You might think that it's a tech company. You might think a lot of things, but you are actually wrong. Like Meta is almost exclusively an advertising agency. Now it kind of has, in a certain sense, sort of purchased like Oculus and stuff like that. So it's kind of in the VR space. It's in a lot of places and in a lot of spaces, but largely the reason for that is to expand its ability to show advertisements to people. And one of the reasons why they supposedly, I mean, this is sort of like the public statement I think that Zuckerberg made, was that they realized when they were dealing with Apple that not owning the platform was really bad, and so they wanted to have a platform, and obviously like VR was one of the platforms that they want to be on because, where can you show ads? And recently, their sort of purchase of Manus, probably they realized that there is virtually no point in showing an ad to an AI, to an AI assistant. And so when somebody starts interacting with the internet, I call it like Internet 3.0 or whatever it is, and the new internet. The old internet was where you went to websites and you visited them and you went searching around for stuff and you visited Google. I mean, that internet has kind of died. It's largely dead. No one really goes out on the internet surfing anymore. You generally go to the internet for these sort of, I guess you could call them like sort of mega nodes. Like you go to Amazon for shopping, you go to Netflix for streaming, you go to Wikipedia for sort of reference information. You might go to Google a little bit, but Google is essentially is kind of trash now, and one of the reasons is, of course, because of advertisements. So the question is what are these companies going to do when the advertisements are being shown to agents who are not interested in buying? They're not going to make any impulse purchases. So this is a really a difficult situation. Obviously, like a lot of these efforts of like Anthropic and OpenAI and stuff like that, their desire to suck people into this subscription model of chat, the chat model, is basically going to be about how are they going to show advertisements to people during their chat. So you'll be chatting with GPT, and it'll be like, while your model is thinking, here's a little advertisement from our sponsor. That kind of stuff is definitely gonna show up at some point. But for right now, owning the platform, owning the interface to the model is going to be a key way that they can show advertisements. But people are, in a certain sense, advertisement fatigued. They really don't like seeing advertisements. They don't want to see them anymore. And so you're going to see a lot more people interacting entirely with the internet through the interface to their particular AI assistant. And this is going to have radical problems for advertising. Actors. So actors have always been a problem, which is that you basically you need attractive, interesting, compelling people to make movies good. But these people are often sort of like autists, with a soft R, and they are really difficult to work with. They are kind of like prima donnas. They don't show up. They don't do the things that you want, especially actresses. Again, like this is always sort of a problem. Like you want to have a nude scene in your movie, and the actress doesn't want to have the nude scene. Now you have to hold like body doubles and all this stuff, and then everybody's like, "Oh, this is insane." So it's gotten to the point where like it's very difficult to make a movie. You have to work with these crazy people, and also these sort of people they've really kind of like worn out their welcome in society. It used to be that being a star was very compelling, but for now, for the most part, most movie stars, for large parts of the country, are definitely disliked. They're not liked at all. And even if people sort of watch their movies, they say, "Oh, yeah, it was a good movie, but man, I hate Robert De Niro or whatever," because they don't agree with their politics or something like that. And also again, like one of the problems that has kind of happened recently is that um, actors, because of their particular perspectives and whatever, valid, not valid, I don't really give a shit, to be honest. Like, I don't care. But they will often sort of like attack the fan base as saying that, oh, the fan base is toxic or mean or evil or bad or racist or whatever it is. And well, then those people just be like, okay, well, then we just won't go to your movie. And then when it gets to the box office, it's a complete flop or it doesn't make as much money as they expected. And again, like they need to make back way more than they spent in order for it to be a successful investment. Like nobody makes money apparently in Hollywood now. Um, but that's really irritating for these studios because at the end of the day, like, well, some of them might agree with the politics of the person who's talking. They're like, yeah, but it doesn't serve anything to insult your audience, and that's been a big issue. So actors, and you've seen that there's a lot of people who are now trying to like create these sort of these performers or like influencers that are completely generated from AI. They're generated from AI models. Obviously we've seen this with some of like the VTuber stuff as well. So this is going to like take off very soon. Like very soon, it's going to get to a point where you can actually make a complete full-length movie with 100% AI generated digital characters. And what you'll find actually is that companies will start essentially like taking a model and a person who's good at sort of attenuating that model, and then they will use the model and some sort of generation to generate the sort of identity, and they will actually like create sort of AI stars that are consistently the same AI star and just act in different roles in different movies, and it will be a completely synthetic actor, and they will finally be free of these sort of drug-addled pontificating actual meatbag actors, which are going to go the way of the dinosaur pretty soon. Journalists, actually, if you think about the function of a journalist, writing stuff down, it's really kind of going to get replaced for the most part, especially on the internet for right now. Obviously, people like talk about AI slop, but I think that they don't realize the degree to which even the stuff that they think is not AI slop is actually just better AI slop, to be quite honest. But a lot of what journalists do can actually just be done by AIs at this point. And in fact, like the the reason why it will happen is because an AI is going to be a lot more controllable. So we are like about to see an age of propaganda that we've never experienced before in our entire lives, and sort of AI journalists will probably fit into that quite a bit. Um, Yep, that's pretty much the jobs that I think are going to be either fundamentally replaced or disrupted or significantly disrupted by AI over the next 1 to 2 years.